Hi friends, today I teach the second part of brain and cranial nerve, the medulla oblongata. The medulla oblongata, or simply the medulla, is formed from the myelencephalon. It is the most inferior part of the brainstem and it is continuous with the spinal cord inferiorly. The posterior portion of the medulla resembles the spinal cord with its flattened round shape and narrow central canal. The spinal cord is with its flattened round shape and narrow central canal. As the central canal extends anteriorly towards the pons, it enlarges and becomes the fourth ventricle. Let's look. Here be the position of medulla. Above we can see pons. Here is midbrain. The surface of medulla oblongata. It has three surfaces: ventral surface, lateral surface, and dorsal surface. First, we can learn about ventral surface. Ventral surface, it has anterior or ventral median fissure, which continues from the same fissure of spinal cord. You see here, anterior fissure. Here be the anterior fissure. Here be spinal cord, extension of spinal cord, and it extends from the spinal cord, and anterior fissures formed in medulla oblongata. With anterior or ventral median fissure, which continues from the same fissure of spinal cord. Second one is pyramids. Pyramids are paired and whitish strands that run along the anterior median fissure. Pyramids are paired, whitish strands run along the sides of anterior median fissure. Here be the pyramid. Pyramids contain motor fibers that descend from the cerebral cortex to spinal cord. The meaning of medulla is marrow or middle. Oblongus means rather long. It is formed from the myelencephalon, as you heard. Another term for medulla oblongata is bulbous. The decussation of pyramids. Here, decussation of pyramids resides below the pyramid. This is the place where most of motor fibers cross before entering the spinal cord. Most of the motor fibers cross before entering the spinal cord. And lateral surface. Inferior olive, anterior lateral sulcus, posterior lateral sulcus, inferior cerebellar peduncles are the structures present in lateral surface. These are the structures present in lateral surface. Inferior olive, a well distinguishable pair eminence found laterally from each pyramid. Here we can see olive. a well distinguishable bare eminence found laterally from each pyramid. Then anterolateral sulcus runs between the pyramids and inferior olive, and the sulcus passes roots of hypoglossal nerve. Between pyramid and olive, here ventrolateral sulcus, and posterolateral sulcus runs posterior to olive. This sulcus passes the ambiguous motor cranial nerve nuclei, that is 9, 10, 11. Ambiguous motor cranial nerve nuclei 9, 10, 11. Here be posterolateral sulcus, posterolateral sulcus. Here be anterolateral sulcus. Then inferior cerebellar peduncle. Inferior cerebellar peduncle are paired, and it is arises from the lateral funiculus and accept some fibers that arise from the cuneate and gracile nuclei. Superiorly, the peduncle part joins the cerebellum, thus forms the inferior boundary of rhomboid fossa. Pyramid. Here we can see fourth ventricle and nuclei of vestibulocochlear nerve, that is cranial number 8. Nucleus of hypoglossal nerve, cranial number 12. And here we can see the olive. Here be the pyramid, decussation of pyramids here. Inferior olivary nucleus, inferior olivary nucleus. Here, inferior olivary nucleus, lateral view. These are pyramids. And here we study inferior cerebellar peduncle. We can see next picture here. Cochlear number, vestibulocochlear nerve, cranial number 8. Gracile tubercle, cuneate, gracile tubercle and cuneate tubercle, gracile tubercle, cuneate tubercle, fasciculus cuneatus, hypoglossal nerve 12. Here we can see the olive and pyramid. This is the medulla. The whole portion is medulla. Next we look into dorsal surface. Dorsal surface contains the posterior median sulcus, gracile fasciculus, cuneate fasciculus, and posterior median sulcus is continuous from the spinal cord, and gracile fasciculus ascend from the spinal cord, terminates at the lower border of rhomboid fossa, with the gracile tubercle contains gracile nucleus. Here we can see gracile tubercle. Here gracile tubercle, and this is fasciculus. Here be the cuneate tubercle, and here be the fasciculus cuneatus. That means cuneate fasciculus. We can see another picture, dorsal view, medulla oblongata. Here is the gracile fasciculus. Here is gracile fasciculus, and here be gracile tubercle. We can see here cuneate fasciculus, and here be the cuneate tubercle, and posterior median sulcus. This is dorsal median sulcus or posterior median sulcus. It is continuous with from the spinal cord, and cuneate fasciculus ascending from the spinal cord as well as terminates at cuneate tubercle, found lateral and superior to gracile tubercle. The cuneate tubercle is found in lateral and superior to gracile tubercle and contains cuneate nucleus. Gracile tubercle contains gracile nucleus, and cuneate tubercle contains cuneate nucleus. Next we study the boundaries and surface of medulla oblongata. Direct continuation of spinal cord. Continuational boundary between spinal cord and medulla oblongata is assigned first pair of cranial nerve or margin of foramen magnum, and borders are superior, ventral and dorsal. Superiorly delimited by pons by deep medulla pontine sulcus, and ventrally by bulbar pontius sulcus, and dorsally by medullary stria of fourth ventricle that cross the superiorly by the pons, by deep medulla pontine sulcus, ventrally by bulbar pontinus sulcus. Bulbar pontinus sulcus ventrally, and dorsally by the medullary stria of fourth ventricle that cross the rhomboid fossa. Next we can study the nuclei and fibers of medulla oblongata. There be some terms we need to remember, so I marked a code here. Myelencephalon in office, call and give pen. The nuclei and fibers of medulla oblongata. Myelencephalon, ML stands for medial lemniscus. Reta, first letter R, stands for reticular formation. In office, inferior olive nucleus, call and give pen. C for cuneate nucleus, G for gracile nucleus, and P for pyramidal tract. And first one is medial lemniscus. We can see first medial lemniscus here. Here be the medial lemniscus. This is the anterior. Here be the cross-sectional view of medulla oblongata. Here is anterior and posterior view. Medial lemniscus. We can see medial lemniscus here. the bundle of neurofibers that arises from the cuneate and gracile nuclei on each side and ascend to the thalamus through bulbothalamic tract. The fibers are known as bulbothalamic tract. Medial lemniscus contains bulbothalamic tract. It is the bundle of neurofibers. Bulbothalamic tract is a bundle of neurofibers that arises from the cuneate and gracile nuclei on each side and ascend to the thalamus. Upon arising, the fibers arc in ventral direction and enter the depth of medulla oblongata to form decussation of medial lemniscus between the inferior olivary nucleus. Upon arising, the fibers arc in ventral direction and enter the depth of medulla oblongata to form decussation of medial lemniscus between the inferior olivary nucleus. In between inferior olivary nucleus. Here we can see the inferior olivary nucleus. After crossing, the bundles loops upwards and ascend through tegmentum of pons and tegmentum of midbrain, reach the thalamus. Here we can see tegmentum, and here is the medial lemniscus. On this way, lemniscus accepts two types of fibers, spinothalamic fibers and nucleothalamic fibers. Spinothalamic fibers ascend from spinal cord to exeroreceptive fibers. Nucleothalamic tract fibers from the sensory nuclei of cranial nerve. Lateral spinothalamic tract. Here will be the decussation of pyramids, anterior median fissure, pyramid, central canal, nucleus of gracile, fasciculus gracile, posterior median sulcus, fasciculus cuneatus, nucleus cuneatus, medial longitudinal fasciculus here. Fasciculus cuneatus here. Myelencephalon, first lateral reticular formation R. It is a wide network formed by well-branched process. Wide networks formed by the well-branched process of small and large neurons. It resides dorsally from olivary nuclei and runs along entire medulla oblongata and spinal cord. Nuclei present in dorsal portion of medulla oblongata. The cranial nerves are, the nuclei of cranial nerves are 9, 10, 11, 12. Here we can see the reticular formation here, and here be the medial lemniscus, and nuclei of gracilis and nuclei of cuneatus. Here be the internal arcuate fibers. Central gray matter. Nucleus tractus solitaris. Dorsal nuclei of vagus. Then hypoglossal nucleus. Inferior olivary nucleus. Here be the pyramid, and here be the anterior position. Lateral spinothalamic tract, spinocerebellar tracts, accessory cuneate nucleus here, spinal nucleus here. Here be the tract of trigeminal nerve. Next one is we study inferior olivary nucleus. Inferior olivary nucleus are paired and resides within inferior olive. An inferior olivary nucleus on the cross-section medulla. It appears as dentate body, open medially with the hilum of inferior olivary nucleus. It contains two tracts or fibers, olivocerebellar tract and olivospinal fibers. Olivocerebellar tract, it is nucleus communicate with the cerebellum, and that means inferior olivary nucleus is communicate with cerebellum. Olivospinal fibers, the nucleus communicates with the spinal cord, and the function is control the body's equilibrium. Next one is the cuneate and gracile nucleus. It is found within respective tubercles. They are the nuclei of posterior funiculi that accept the cuneate and gracile fasciculi. Both fasciculi are formed of sensory pseudo-unipolar cells of the spinal ganglia. Both fasciculi transmit the impulse of proprioceptive and tactile sensitivity. The axons of nuclei form the medial lemniscus. As we already said, nucleus of gracilis here and nucleus of cuneatus here. Next we studied about the pyramidal tract. Pyramidal tract resides within the pyramids on the dorsal surface. Contains the longitudinal fibers that arises from the precentral gyrus. The fibers are bulbar corticonuclear fibers and corticospinal fibers. Bulbar corticonuclear fibers that decussate and reach the motor nuclei of cranial nerves. Corticospinal nerves that transist the medulla oblongata. About 80% of fibers decussate immediately below the pyramids and appears as decussation of pyramids on the ventral surface of medulla oblongata. As we already said, 80% of fibers are decussate here. The fibers proceed to lateral funiculus. Lateral corticospinal tract, known as lateral corticospinal tract. About 20% of fibers that bypass decussation descend to anterior funiculus, run as anterior corticospinal tract. These fibers decussate within respective segments. Thus, the entire corticospinal tract appears to be fully decussated. Fibers terminate within anterior gray columns where they synapse with motor neurons. Here we can see from the cortex to medulla oblongata. Finally, we have to look once again. Here be the spinal cord and medulla oblongata. Here is the fourth ventricle, the nuclei of cranial number 8, nucleus of cranial number 12. Here be the cranial number 10 vagus, medial lemniscus, inferior olivary nucleus. Here be the nucleus of vagus nerve or cranial number 10. We can see olive here laterally, pyramid, cranial number 12 or hypoglossal nerve. 80% of fibers decussate here, So we can see decussation of pyramids, lateral corticospinal tract axons, anterior corticospinal tract axons, spinal nerve C1. Then look into lateral view. Here be the inferior olivary nucleus, cardiac and vasomotor centers here on lateral side, anterior side pyramid, ventral respiratory group here, dorsal respiratory group, cuneate nucleus and gracilis nucleus. The ventral respiratory group and dorsal respiratory group are collectively known as medullary respiratory center, and this is about medulla oblongata. And thank you. Please subscribe my channel and like and support me.